everyone, welcome to yet another Star Trek podcast. My name is Drew. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. I'd like to welcome two of my closest friends who are just as nerdy as I am. First up, Majeed. What's going on, dude?
Hi. I wouldn't say that I'm just as nerdy as you.
Yes, you are.
Well, hang on. We have different levels of nerd. So you're a video game nerd. You're obviously a Star Trek nerd. But when it comes to comic books, I got you there. So, I have you beat.
This is true. But when it comes to comic books, you know who may have you beat? It might be our buddy Brad. Brad, what's up?
Hey guys, I'm pretty sure I do have you beat there, GD. I'm really kind of sorry on that one, but I have the best of both worlds. I really do. It's the nerd central here, Star Trek, Transformers, X-Men, Green Lantern, you name it, I freaking do it, man.
I appreciate the best of both worlds reference, too. That's the only part of that entire sentence that I picked up on.
Hey, man, I gotta try to keep you in the loop somehow.
Yeah. Guys, I can't even begin to tell you how excited I am. We're doing a Star Trek podcast. And yes, I know there's a million of them out there. But somehow, this is happening.
I know, it's pretty exciting. I honestly was a little bit intimidated at first doing it with you, because I know your Trek trivia is far surpassing mine, but at least I have one up above our friend Majeed over there.
Listen, I'm trying my hardest, and I know with enough time and practice, I'm going to out Star Trekkie nerd both of you. It's going to take time. It's going to take time. It's going to take practice. It's going to take perseverance. 3 things I don't have, but I'll try.
The gauntlet has been thrown. Will laziness persevere? Find out next time on yet another Star Trek podcast.
Procrastinators unite.
There you go. That was it. Over and done, right?
Yeah, that's the episode.
I mean, that would be what, a 2-minute podcast? Be like, yeah, we're gonna do Star Trek in 2 minutes.
Well, that would all depend on the person listening, because I know on other podcast platforms you have the ability to speed up the host. So if they've sped it up to a 1.4, then it would have been done, even before it started.
Well, I mean, that's if you really want to listen to Alvin and the Chipmunks.
My voice is already high-pitched enough. I don't need that.
I think out of the 3 of us, I have the highest pitched voice, but I'm working on it. I watch a lot of videos. Don't ask me which ones. I refuse to cite my sources, but I've looked at videos about speaking with a lower tone.
Why?
So my boss at work has often complained. Not complained. He's criticized my high pitchy and excited kind of yay type tone and cadence. So I've tried to slow it down.
Well, I mean, I think there's a time and a place for that. Like when you're, working, maybe you need to kind of take it down a notch. But I want you to be excited. I want you to be pitchy. I want you to be, I don't know. I just want you to be you, because I want to share the joy of Star Trek with you guys. Now, Brad is already pretty well versed in Trek. Would you say, Brad?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up like most of our generation watching The Next Generation, and then of course Deep Space Nine, and then Star Trek Voyager. I never got into Enterprise. That one was just lost on me. I remember trying to watch the original series years ago, and I never really got through the entirety of it. I've watched most of it. All the movies, though. The movies are for certain. Just the original series is a lot longer of a watch than just saying, hey, I'm going to do it on a weekend. It takes a little longer than that.
And a lot more alcohol.
Yeah.
This time though, I am planning to be 100% sober the entire time.
You may regret those words by the third season. I think, we should maybe rewind a little bit and tell the listener what our mission here is, what our journey is on this podcast. And as it stands right now, we're planning on covering the original series in its entirety. Is that right?
Yeah, the original series in its entirety. And I think there was maybe talk of going into the movies. I know we started by saying, hey, let's watch the movies. And then it kind of morphed into, well, if you don't watch the original series, you may not understand what's happening in the movies, because I think it was you or Brad said the movies take place after the series.
Yes.
I think you could watch them, like, you would get enough understanding from just watching it in order of the movies. I mean, if you just pick up, like, Undiscovered Country number 6, just pick from there, you'd be like, what is going on? Who are these people? But I think the movies, for the most part, are pretty self-contained. However, watching the original series does help give you more context, and as far as some connections towards it, like the end of Star Trek 2, I think would be more meaningful by watching the series than just picking it up from some programming in the movies.
I would agree with that. It's establishing the context of the friendships between Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. And not that you can't kind of piece that together by diving in with the first film and working your way through. But I do think that it will resonate more following, watching at least some of the original series. And if you're going to watch some of the original series for a podcast, you might as well watch it all, if we're being completely honest. So from my perspective, this is a great opportunity for the three of us to watch a program that may or may not have aged too well. I mean, like, it's definitely a product of the 60s. So there's going to be some stuff that is a little cheesy by today's standards, but there's going to be some stories that are going to hit pretty hard that are still relevant. And it'll give me an opportunity to see, a show that I haven't spent a ton of time with. Much like Brad, I was a Next Generation kid, and I've pretty much stuck with Star Trek ever since then. But the original series is something I've only kind of dipped my toes in the water every so often. So I'm looking forward to committing to watching the original series start to finish and talking about it with you guys and really absorbing it so that by the time we get to the movies, we're ready, Yeah,
I think we're going to be going down the right path by doing something like that. I'm honestly looking forward to seeing a lot of familiar faces that we've seen throughout the Star Trek years. The different actors, the guest stars, and I've always liked older TV shows in general, so it's something that I'm looking forward to. I like that cheesy special effects stuff. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and put myself out there and embarrass myself. The first exposure I had to Star Trek, and again, don't make fun of me for this. It was Star Trek First Contact.
That's a great movie
with the Borg.
That is an awesome movie.
Look, if you're going to start late to the franchise, what a great place to start.
Well, there's more. It was because I thought I thought the Borg Queen was kind of hot. I'm like, oh man. I was a teenager, and I said, oh my God. All right, I'll watch this.
Look at those shoulders. Look at those gray shoulders.
And of course, Patrick Stewart.
I have so many inappropriate jokes right now.
Well, I mean,
the line must be drawn here.
Well, listen, if the jokes result in spoilers, maybe keep those to yourself.
But you've seen it already.
No.
Once, when I was I don't want to say horny teenager, but when I was a horny teenager.
How long did it take us to get to this point? Was it 10 minutes? Not even 8 minutes. Okay, that's a record. Let's see. We should do this as like a tally. Is like how fast does it take to have our conversation devolve into this part?
Or who's going to be the first person to take that conversation into the dark place?
I like it.
The dark place.
My next exposure to Star Trek was, of course, J.J. Abrams. And it was because J.J. Abrams had done, he did Mission Impossible 3, right? And that was his first, like, directing a big movie. And then he did Star Trek. And I said, oh, man, all right, cool. John Cho. I love John Cho. Oh, my God. Simon Pegg. I love Simon Pegg. Oh, my God. Chris Pine. That guy's good looking. I'll get into this. And then the movie kind of got into this whole lens flare. Like everything was lens flare. And I said, oh my God.
Yeah, that's totally his style.
And I said, oh my God, I love lens flare.
Is that why you're a photographer now?
I refuse to answer that question. That's the second time tonight. You've put me in a corner.
Nobody puts GD in a corner.
Right.
So on that that Star Trek, I have very mixed feelings towards it. I enjoy the movies of his trilogy, because this is 3, I think, if I remember correctly. But they're not really Star Trek movies to me. They're just like science fiction action movies.
I think he went on record saying, as a kid, he was never a Star Trek fan. He was a Star Wars fan. So I think
he ruined that franchise. So
Hey! Don't you dare!
Hey, we will not talk about the subject that does not exist in this universe.
Drew, that's strike one. So J.J. Abrams essentially made a Star Wars movie wrapped in the Star Trek skin.
What did he make?
He made a Star Wars movie wrapped in Star Trek skin.
What is the word we're not supposed to repeat on this podcast?
Yeah.
Wookiees.
Okay.
We can't say the word Wookiees.
Is that our safe word?
It's my safe word. Yeah, so apparently, like the diehard, fan base of Star Trek was like, "Oh my God, the pacing is off. These characters shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. Why is Uhura making out with this guy from Heroes?" Zoe Saldana. Mm-hmm. That's all I know her as. She's been every single alien species to me, and I'm totally there for it. She's been green, she's been blue. Hey, I'm there. I'm totally there for it.
I'm with you.
I like her as an actress. I think she was good in the movie.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a Star Trek movie to me.
Well, I mean, I think the one thing that the Abrams movies did well, and I think they did this better than pretty much any other reboot, is they found a sneaky way to make a reboot and still have it fit within a Star Trek timeline by doing this whole alternate universe thing. And it's all kind of stuff that's already been established in Trek over the years. So it wasn't that far fetched, Let's give it its own little corner. We'll call it the Kelvin timeline. We'll call it a day. You guys stay over there with your 3 movies and do your thing with the Beastie Boys, and the rest of it will move along on a straight path.
Well, one of the things that kind of bothered me though was that there was more to the first movie, and I think the other two is that there's like side comic books that give further explanation as to what the heck is going on.
Yeah.
And I read those, and after reading them, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense. And reading up on like some of the side story for it, I dislike having to read another medium to understand what I'm watching.
Right.
It to me that bugs me.
That's something that they've been doing more frequently lately too. If I'm not mistaken, they're doing like comic books in between the Discovery seasons that are kind of leading up to that. And I know they did something with Picard, like a Picard countdown issue. Because I read the first countdown.
They did.
And it's like, I guess that's fine, but I don't know. You're really, like, you guys are comic book readers. I'm not a comic book reader, even though I when I do read comics, it's usually a Star Trek comic. right? So, but I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel like I need to buy those just to follow along with the story.
Well, I think with like Discovery and Picard and a lot of the other side stuff is like you didn't need to read it to understand it, but I felt with the Calvin universe, like you really needed to get in the weeds in order for you to understand some of that stuff that was going on. Like Nero's ship, like how he got it, like what the heck is it?
Right.
Like you had to really like read more into it than the movie was just going to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with what you're saying, man. It's too much, like.
Well, we're going to be going to a simpler time though. We're not going to have to worry about it though. So isn't that a plus?
I'm pretty excited. So, what is your exposure to the original series, Majeed? Let me start with you.
My exposure to the original series is seeing it on Paramount Plus and saying, "Oh wow, they put it on Paramount Plus."
Oh goodness, how about you, Brad?
I've watched probably, I would say, maybe like half of the first season, not in order. Watched maybe like a couple episodes here and there. I know a lot of the references due to various like clips, books, references from other like they'll reference things in like Star Trek, Lower Decks, and I'll be like, oh, I got to read up on that. And it was like, oh yeah, I remember reading that about the original series. So I have I've seen a good number of episodes, but I know never in order. Just like, hey, Star Trek's on the Sci-Fi Channel. Let's just watch that, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, my mom would throw it on because it was always on WPIX 11 for those in the New York Greater Metropolitan Area, and I would watch it there on the weekends with my mom, but they didn't necessarily play the episodes in order, and maybe I didn't see it one weekend, so I'd miss out, and I'd pick up another episode here or there. Along the way, I've seen, I want to say most of them, right? But I definitely haven't seen all of them. And I'm really eager to kind of like go through the whole series, start to finish, warts and all, and look at it from, a broader perspective, I want to say. And I'm kind of excited to see how well it holds up in 2022.
I know the special effects are probably going to be garbage in comparison. It's what
these are going to be the remastered versions that we're watching. If we're watching it on Paramount Plus, it's the remastered.
But either way, though, it's going to be like chroma key. And...
Well, yeah. I mean, like the ships, like the outer space special effects, I think will be pretty good. If you're looking for, Discovery level special effects, no, you're not going to get that. But I think the overall special effects will be sufficient.
As long as there's no crying or motivational speech every commercial break, I think we're okay.
Shots fired. Let's talk about that a little more.
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, my first exposure to the original Star Trek was season 2 of Discovery. One of the episodes with Pike, right?
Yeah.
Played by Anson Mount. It starts off with this flashback from like the original series, and I said, "Oh my God, what is this? Am I putting on the wrong show?" I think I messaged you. I messaged Drew afterwards. I'm like, "Hey, Drew, what is that? Explain to me." And you went into this rant, this nerd level rant, and you were like, "Oh, back in the original series, Pike was the original captain, and then they recast him." And I'm like, "Oh, whoa."
Oh yeah, I remember this. You posted it in Discord. It was like I remember I chimed in a few times for that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you sent a clip of Pike, and he was talking to Kirk and Spock, and he was like badly burned, and it that whole tied into Discovery, and I said, "Oh man, that's really cool." And it was announced that, of course, Pike is getting his own show, and that's like, knowing his future makes me super excited for Strange New Worlds. But
Yeah.
you know, I also want to see, you know, the other two actors that played him and see where we land on that.
Well, the speaking of Strange New Worlds, did you guys see the most recent poster that came out today?
Yeah, we posted in Discord. It looks really good. I just don't want to get the hopes up. Sometimes, like, you get hopes up and you're just like, you watch it and you're like, oh, that was so bad and it's so much worse than I expected.
No, listen. If you're excited about it, be excited about it. All right? You go all in, full send, no stop, nothing. You pre-order, you do everything you can to keep that hype level going. And if you are disappointed afterwards, you take it out on Twitter. That's what you should be doing.
Oh, that is appropriate.
Angry tweet while I'm on the toilet. Got it.
Well, I've tried to like voice my disappointments with some of the recent stuff, and on Reddit, like, it usually results in a locked post and a ban. So it's kind of tough, you know.
Another option is a handwritten sentiment, and it starts off by, you know, a compliment, and that's when you get them. That's when you start unleashing your venom and your bile against this garbage that they put out, and then you end it nice and kindly and saying, you know, I'm watching you. Don't let it happen again.
Right. I mean, to be clear, I don't hate the newer Star Treks. Like, I'm just disappointed with them because I feel like they're not as good as they could be, you know, and that's, I should be specific. Like Discovery and Star Trek Picard, both shows have become a bit of a letdown for me overall. I think Lower Decks is stellar, absolutely fantastic, and I'm really enjoying Prodigy, I might add. I think that those two shows, which are cartoons, have better, more consistent character development than the two live action shows that are being produced today. And yeah, it's a little disappointing and frustrating. I still tune in every week because I want them to get better. I want it to be good. I love Star Trek.
It's so much easier to get animation stories right than it is live action, because you can pull off things in animation and you can't pull off in live action. It's just, you know, that's why I as an adult male in his 30s, I think I'm in my 30s. I'm still in my 30s. I'm still able to watch Family Guy and American Dad. I can watch all these cartoons because, you know, it's easier to do like funny things in animation. You know, you don't have to cast you know, a good looking person. You have to cast a funny person to voice this character. And that's exactly what they've done with was it Jack Quaid, right, as Boimler? Yeah. And all the rest of the cast. And of course,
but I think it's more than just that, though. Like the writing in Discovery, I feel like has gone downhill. Picard, like the same thing with that. Like, that was such a letdown for me. I was so looking forward to it, and it really didn't hold on what I was hoping to see.
Well, I don't think anything about Picard felt like it was Jean-Luc. Does that make sense? No, like, I didn't feel like
yeah, it does. It didn't. It really didn't.
I don't feel like Jean-Luc was with us once that entire season. And the best episode was the one where, you know, spoiler alert, Riker and Troy showed up.
Yeah. Well, it felt like it was just an old man trying to correct a mistake. That's all it really felt like, and that kind of sums up the entire series.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's probably going to sum up our life as well.
Yeah, I guess you're probably not wrong.
But you know, it's gonna be pretty cool though, going back at the beginning and saying, okay, well, where are the high points? So if we start off at can I abbreviate the original series by saying TOS, or does that sound weird? Okay.
Yeah, no, that's
right. Accepted.
Okay, great. So we can go back with the original series and say, okay, well, where are the high points? And we can have like this sort of mental line graph and say, okay, well, this was the high point when Kirk started punching walls and overacting. And then we can move on to the movies and say, okay, well, this one was good, this one sucked. Are they looking for whales on Earth? And we can chart back and say, okay, well, where did it lose its voice? And chances are you guys are going to say whenever the lens flares showed up. But
I didn't have as much of a problem with those films as most. But I mean, like, all right, so in our charting of the series, like, we're going to be watching these episodes, and I think we're still figuring out the exact format of how we're going to do this, but we're going to be talking about it. We're going to be talking about what's going on, what worked, what didn't work. And then ultimately we're going to give this a score, right? So we could actually commit these scores to, I don't know, a spreadsheet or something, and watch that chart become a reality. I think I lost you both.
No, I'm
ready to warp drive it up there. But
is that what we're calling it?
I don't ever say that.
I don't know.
Don't ever say I'm ready to warp drive it up. No, veto. That's demerits. That's
all right. So was it beam me up, Scotty?
Oh god, we'll come up with some sort of a number. I don't know.
Well, we'll have until after the next one.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we have a week. What are your expectations of this show?
My expectations are, I'm looking for something very cheesy, entertaining, but also have a very powerful message.
What about you, GD?
Brad broke me at the powerful message part of it.
Oh.
I'm looking for something that I can share with my friends and expand upon this well of knowledge of random facts that I have. I'm fully expecting a quote unquote cheesy experience, right? Because again, like Drew said, we're dealing with something that aired in the 60s. I'm expecting to fall in love with Captain Kirk, as many of the alien that he beds does. And I'm expecting to also fall in love with Kirk. Kirk, my God.
And are you expecting to understand some more Lower Deck jokes?
I refuse to answer that question.
He's just in it for the background of the Lower Decks. Are you guys planning on watching this with your family?
Oh God, no. Listen.
Because this is a perfect opportunity for you to spend some quality time with your daughter.
No, it's not. Here's what happens. So I said to my wife, I said, hey, I'm doing a podcast. She says, oh man, that's so cool. What's it going to be about? Star Trek. She was at her desk working, looking at the monitor. She turns around slowly without saying a word. She says, are you messing with me? No, I'm not messing with you. This is a real thing. I'm going to enjoy with my friends. She's like, when did you turn into this guy? I said,
were you surrounded by the comic book posters at the time?
Listen, actually, yes. My entire, for anyone who doesn't know, obviously, no one's looking at my screen, but I have a wall in front of me, in front of my desk, where I have all these comic book related memorabilia hung up on my wall. So I have comic books, I have just artwork, just prints. And when my wife is looking at me, she sees me standing in front of this wall of nerd memorabilia, and she's contemplating our relationship in that moment. And asks,
are you striking a Superman pose?
Why you do that to me? Why how are you? Stop. Of course listen. I was posing, but only because I had just come back from the gym, right? So your arms, you're sore. You don't. Yes, I was posing, Brad. I don't need you to put that out there. Stop breaking me, Brad.
You got to work on that hero pose, buddy.
Yeah.
I can't do the hands on the hip one very well. I can do the arms cross while you look off into the sunset. I can do that one.
You just got to get a kitchen towel waving behind you. Look like a cape.
I'd rather invoke a pose from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson Star Trek guest star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, mind you. Just gonna put that out there.
You should try dressing up as it for Halloween one year.
As Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson from Star Trek.
From Star Trek,
I
yeah.
love it. I love it.
I think I'd say with like the turtleneck, and then also the prosthetics.
Yeah, no, he didn't. They don't have turtlenecks in the future. Actually, that's not true. They definitely do.
That's not true. Was it Section 31?
Yeah.
The guy from DS9?
Oh, Sloan.
Sloan, yeah. Sloan.
Yeah.
Sloan.
Yep. Oh man, what else was I gonna ask? Kind of got off track for a second.
Oh yeah, no, that's gonna happen a lot. If you don't write stuff down, if you don't have a whiteboard in front of you, expect to go off the rails. Like,
is it like the thing where Charlie Kelly from Sunny is standing in front of the Pepe Sylvia board?
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is.
Carol. There is no Carol.
Well, I thought it would be kind of silly and kind of fun to do a little bit of a icebreaker game with you guys. Just to kind of, for the audience and for you, ask you guys some rapid fire questions, give me some answers, kind of shoot some different ideas out here about, some good topics to talk about. What do you think?
I think that's great. And I think the term icebreaker might be a little confusing for anyone who decides to listen. Drew, Brad, and I have been friends for a long time. I think we're going on 15.
Longer than I've been married.
True story.
I don't know how long Brad's been married, guys.
Neither do I. I mean, if we're being honest, it's longer than I've been married too. So
I don't know how long Drew's been married, guys.
I know it's been longer than 8 years.
No, totally. So maybe about 15 years. I feel like that's accurate.
Well, I met you
know,
guys in like 2012. So
what
10
year
years.
is it now?
So 10 years?
Listen,
10 years. I knew GD though for a lot longer than that.
Well, you guys worked together longer.
well, hang on. Let's clarify that. Brad knew me for a long time. Brad didn't like me for a part of that. I had to warm up to him.
You had to warm up to him, or he had to warm up to you?
Well,
Yes.
let's say the truth though. Brad has a hearing loss. We all know this.
This is news to me.
But Brad has a hearing loss. It wasn't until 8 years ago when I got a cochlear implant, which allowed me to hear. And I can tell you this: after I turned it on, I was like, "Oh, so that's what Majeed sounds like." I never knew.
Better turn it off quick.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Brad's like, I expected a deeper voice for some reason.
No, it's so soft.
Must be the shoulders.
It's
All right.
Oh man, let's break that ice then.
Yeah.
Let's
no,
get
totally.
trucking.
I don't know. I'm just like. So, let's start with Brad. What's your favorite Trek show?
So originally it was Voyager, but I remember you've always like bashed Voyager in comparison to DS9, and I watched or did a rewatch of DS9, and I think it's shifted to DS9.
Yes.
Now that I'm like maybe older but more into the story arc in DS9, but I think DS9 is my favorite.
I love you. GD, how about you?
well, I feel like we already know this. It's Lower Decks, right? And it's Lower Decks. It wasn't always Lower Decks. At a point, I was like, okay, I'm really into Discovery, especially season 2, when Pike showed up.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, Pike was the reason why I love season 2, and then season 3 happened, and we won't talk about season 3, but Lower Decks also premiered around that time. And I didn't like it at first. I didn't love it at first. But the more you kind of spend in that world with these characters, and then you go back to rewatch the first season, these cold opens are some of the best things put into animation, in my opinion. And I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Lower Decks is it's so good with how they open each episode. Drew, which series are you on?
Oh man, it's tough. I think most days of the week, if you ask me, it's going to be Deep Space Nine, hands down. You know, I just love the serialized nature that the show took towards the back half of it. I love the idea of these people who are forced to work together who may not necessarily get along. I love the recurring villains. You know, just some of my favorite moments in Trek come from that show, whether they're shocking or emotional or whatever. You know, everything about that I love. But I grew up with Next Generation, and I've been doing a rewatch of that recently, and I've come to realize that I feel like in a lot of ways that Patrick Stewart kind of showed me how to be a man. Like, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, he's Patrick Stewart.
right. And I don't know, I tried to like be that person, you know, the person that would put the needs of other people in front of him because it's the right thing to do, and just to be honest and truthful and stand for what you believe in. And I don't know, he embodied a lot of that, and I feel like in some ways he was like a second father, you know, because I grew up watching that show. So it's kind of tough not to want to give it to Next Gen, but I don't know, I always go back to DS9, you know. But Lower Decks, I mean, like if we're talking new Trek, it's Lower Decks hands down.
So I'm interested to hear after we finish watching the original series, and we can ask the question: Is it who's your favorite captain, Kirk or Picard?
It's funny you should ask that, because that is the next question on my list.
Man, I'll go first with that. So, like, thinking about all the episodes of everything, and if you have to isolate just between Kirk and Picard. But if you expand beyond that, I could say Pike from Discovery. I love Janeway and I love Cisco, but I don't know if it was just maybe because it's so fresh and so new, but Pike did a phenomenal job. And what was the guy before him, Lorca?
Lorca.
Oh God, Lorca was
Lorca.
fantastic. Jason Isaacs, fantastic.
Oh God, he was phenomenal. I think the reason why he doesn't win is because he's the bad guy in the end.
Oh,
Spoiler alert. But Lorca was so amazing. I was really hoping like they would bring him back in the second season. And then when they didn't, they brought Pike. I was like, Pike was phenomenal. I just loved the charisma that guy showed, and it kind of made me wonder like what the original series would have been like if Pike was the captain.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, from what I understand, the original actor Jeffrey Hunter was, you know, very charismatic, on the rise actor. Unfortunately, he died at a very young age, you know, unrelated to the recasting. But you know, it does kind of beg that question though, like what if things had gone a different direction, you know? And I would agree with you that Anson Mount, I mean, you know, when they brought him on in Discovery, he did not have his own TV show lined up, but he did so well and became so beloved in a span of 14 episodes that people like petitioned for it, and he got his own show. I think that's incredible.
Can we also just really quickly segue to the fact that Anson Mount, the actor for Pike in Discovery, going into this, he had failed TV show. He had Inhumans, the awful Marvel TV show, and he was one of, if not the worst characters on that show. Like the show was a hot garbage dumpster 2020 fire altogether. But man, the casting of him as Black Bolt was garbage. He was not right. He was not just he didn't show a lot of range. And in Discovery, he showed range, you know?
Well, he also played a lead role on Hell on Wheels for 5 years, which I would say probably had more impact on him.
Really? Who was in that?
Yeah. Yeah, he was Cullen Bohannon. I'm not familiar with the show, but I know he's in it.
I watched that. Like, I remember oh my God, I gotta go watch that again.
Yeah,
Is that the show where they go around giving food to poor families?
No, that's a different show. But yeah, Anson Mount is the lead in that, and I guess Colin Meaney's in that as well too. So that's 2 Trek alumni from that show.
Like, it's so funny. Like, you don't sometimes, like, the actors just look so different depending on, like, the role they're in and their feel for the character too. Yeah, no kidding. He was the main character. I didn't even realize he was Black Bolt when you mentioned that, Majeed. Like, I completely forgot entirely.
You should. It was a garbage. It was a very garbage show. Like, everyone should forget that thing existed, so Marvel can properly reboot it.
Oh my God.
Majeed, who is your favorite?
It's Picard. It's Picard, and for the wrong reasons, by the way. It's Picard only because of the various memes.
Is it because based upon what you saw in the Picard series?
No,
it's the memes.
It's strictly based on.
That's 100% the memes.
The memes. Yeah, it's the memes you see on Reddit. Yeah, it's the memes you see on Reddit. It's also the fact that it's Patrick freaking Stewart.
A British
like
actor
that's
with a
it.
French name.
We don't talk about that right now.
Wait, which part is French?
Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh my God. I'm like, wait, Patrick and Stewart aren't French names. What are you talking about?
Oh my God. Oh man. Man, we've made it. I think we've all made a strong case for Pike, but I need to see more of him before I can put him in that elite category. I will say he's risen to the top very quickly, based on Discovery Season 2. So I am thrilled to see what happens in Strange New Worlds. I am super excited for that, and skeptical about some parts. We could talk about that another time, but I'm excited for him. And
who's your favorite right now?
I mean, again, I kind of default to Cisco, but after rewatching DS9 recently, I kind of feel like Avery Brooks overacts a few times. And as much as I like him when he's serious, it's like when he starts getting like a little over the top that I just, I don't know. It loses me.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, yeah, I think right now, today, it's Jean-Luc.
Nobody's going to fault you for that
No,
decision.
I don't think so.
Again, yeah, it's
Right.
Patrick Stewart.
Right.
You know.
All right, guys. Which is your favorite ship in Star Trek?
That is a tough one.
I'll take this one first. First.
Go ahead, GD.
The Enterprise from J.J. Abrams' Star Trek lens flare movie, because from what I understand, they made it bigger, and I quote, they made it look like a hot rod.
So you like it because it goes fast.
Vroom vroom, baby. But they streamlined it. They made it bigger, and you know I like bigger. But they updated it for 2009 when it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my pick, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay. How about you, Brad?
The Borg Cube.
Get the hell out of here.
That's my favorite ship. We didn't specify.
You're right. Okay, fair. We didn't specify. Okay.
But if you have to specify between like Federation, it's gonna be Voyager. That's my favorite ship design.
Listen, let's just be happy Brad didn't say the escape pod.
Or I could have said the Delta Flyer, and Drew, you've been like, give me this look, and be like, what the heck?
Yeah, I'm staring at you right through
Right,
this
right,
this
right. He would
webcam
have
that's
just
turned
stopped
off.
recording, and
Yeah,
he would have stopped recording, bought a flight to where you are, and punch you in the face.
yeah. But no, like the Starship Voyager, I think that holds a special place in my heart, and I think the reason is the Next Generation I grew up and I remember like I have fond memories of that, watching with my dad, and then DS9 I got into it, but there's really nothing from that really stood out other than like obviously the Defiant, but Voyager got me really back into Star Trek, and that I remember seeing one random episode like on like a staticky reception TV, and I was like, oh my god, there's a new Star Trek series. I gotta figure out where this is. I gotta figure out how to watch it, and I remember like looking. This is before like internet was like really big, so I had to like look on like the TV guides and everything like that, and I had to read cover to cover to find like where this like Star Trek episode was being aired, and like it had so much fond memories in that sense, and I think that's why for a long time it had like the show itself was probably one of my favorite shows, but yeah, the ship was just like the unique design for it, being out by in the middle of nowhere all on its own. That really pushed it for me.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned the TV guides because whenever there was a new show coming out, they would have like a cover article on it, for, and I'm pretty sure at my parents' house I still have some of those.
Oh yeah. I used to get the CinemaScape, I think it was. There was like, and I remember I would like always look forward to like whenever there's like a new Star Trek movie coming out, and I would love reading all the details. This is because like back before the internet, like that's all you had, man. You didn't have like hey, let me Google when is this thing coming out. It's just like you got to look at the article and read the article to get all your dirty little details from that.
Yeah, those were the days, man.
We are dating ourselves so hard right now.
I know.
That's okay. That's okay. Anybody that's listening to this probably already knows how old we are based on the sound of our voice and the time in which we were watching it. So.
Oh man, like I just looked up when Voyager like aired, and it was 95, and that sounds 100% accurate to the time that I would have had to use like a TV with a receiver and everything for it.
Let's see here. My favorite ship. I gotta go with, this is kind of a deep cut for some of you, but USS Enterprise NCC 1701C.
That was like the rebuilt one from Star Trek 3?
No.
Damn it.
No, this only has one appearance. It's in an episode of The Next Generation called Yesterday's Enterprise. And it's basically the gist of it is the ship was destroyed defending a Klingon outpost from a Romulan attack. I think that's the way it was, right? Klingons against a Romulan attack? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was that way. It's been a while since I've seen it. But anyway, they somehow end up going through a wormhole and cross into the future where they encounter the Enterprise D as captained by Jean-Luc Picard. And in the process, change the timeline forever. I just, we've only seen the Ambassador class ship on TV once. It's only in that one episode. And that breaks my heart because it is this gorgeous hybrid between the Next Generation ships and the Enterprise D and a throwback to the Enterprise A, which is the refit version from the original series movies. She's a beaut.
I think with a lot of those ships, like there's so many more ships that we don't get to see in shows and in movies or anything like that, because of they solely live in books and maybe comic books, and it's difficult because I remember picking up Star Trek Online, and seeing like all the different classes of the ships and actually being able to visually see some of these things that you've only read about.
Yeah.
Man, I remember I used to have. I don't remember who made it. It was like Scholastic or something like I can't pronounce. Yeah,
Scholastic.
there you go. That one. They did like a book where it's like the ship and every single deck, and they did like multiple different ships, I think. And I loved looking at that stuff because those are so neat to read about. It's like this true nerd lore fiction, right?
Dude, I have like the encyclopedia that they came out with. I have technical manuals. I have a fucking wall of like starships that I bought at Comic-Con every year for the past few years. And there are all those different classes that you're talking about, and it's just they bring me so much joy. And we only ever see them on camera briefly here or there, but I love
Well, I think
them.
that's a big thing with Star Trek is that the outside of the ship typically is not like necessary to drive the stories.
Right.
They don't do the space battles like other shows like Battlestar Galactica, where it was just these dogfights, and you do get the space battles, but it's not that critical.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's Deep Space Nine leans into the battles a little bit more heavily than I think just about all the other series do.
Well, it's a giant war at the end, so that kind of makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Majeed, did you ever watch DS9?
I think you know the answer to that.
Okay.
We will get there. We will get there. All right. You guys have a favorite uniform? Let's go with Brad first.
That's a good one. The the uniform that was in First Contact. I don't know if there's any technical names for it, but it's the one where it's like gray, and then you can see the color in the center. That was my. I remember when they did First Contact, and I first saw it. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so freaking cool. I loved that uniform.
That is a great uniform.
And it was I remember seeing Voyager, and Voyager had like a somewhat similar to it, but it was like more cut off as far as the color wise, kind of like similar to DS9, and it just stayed that way through the entire series, and it kind of was boring by the end of it, you know?
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it stayed that way because they were stuck in another quadrant.
Yeah,
So it makes sense.
So they can't really get the new supplies.
Right, right. GD, what about you? You have a favorite uniform?
Discover season 2.
Season
Pike's, yeah. Listen, Pike's uniform in season 2, or his crew, what they upgraded them to. It was, I guess, reminiscent of the original series. Am I right? And it was bolder, and it was like this clean cut. It just looked really, really, really good.
2? Yeah, it was sharp. Those were sharp uniforms.
Well, the yellow the Pike was wearing was
Oh,
just
man.
so tight.
Stunning.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Absolutely stunning.
Wait, when you say tight, you mean like hugged his muscles very well?
Yeah, I'll just go with it. That's easier that way.
Yeah.
Because it totally did. You could see his abs through the uniform.
Yeah, that saved as your desktop wallpaper, right?
I refuse to answer that question.
I was always a fan of the original series movies uniforms from Star Trek 2 through Star Trek 6. That nice red with the chest part that opens up.
Oh,
Those are
right.
nice.
So
Not
William
the
Shatner.
not the con version of it, but the because they had like this zipper that you could open up, and it was still fabric underneath. But I don't know, those are just really sharp looking uniforms to me.
because I know William Shatner used to do like not shirtless, but he'd do like low V cuts, right?
Well,
for the
to be
sex appeal.
clear, he was still fully clothed. When I say it unzips at the chest, it doesn't show anything. It's like opening up. It's like when you open up a button-up shirt and you have a T-shirt underneath. It's kind of like that, but it wasn't a
Oh.
T-shirt. It was still part of the uniform. It was like another layer.
Oh, like what I do at the gym.
Don't worry, GD, we'll get you there.
Well, yeah, we got some time. Moving right along. Favorite movie. GD, what's up? Favorite movie.
Oof. I'm gonna have to go with the, lens flare, 2009, J.J.
Okay.
Abrams.
Nothing wrong with that, man. You do what you like best for you.
Hey, listen, everybody has to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So
You know what I just heard in everything you guys said to me? You just basically said to me that Majeed is entitled to his incorrect opinion. That's what I
did not
heard.
say that. I genuinely mean like everybody has to start somewhere, right? Like somebody's Star Trek is their first Star Trek. It doesn't matter which one it is. Brad is judging you 100%.
Oh no, I'm totally judging. It's more of like the, oh, look at that, he's so special.
Yeah.
Well,
he is
it's John's show, sword fighting. You can't beat that.
Those movies did have some really good sequences in it. Again, though, it felt more of a science fiction movie rather than a Star Trek movie, and I enjoyed them. I really did. It's not to me what I think of Star Trek. To me, there's more action, less message.
Yeah, really quick. Can we just? I just want to kind of segue on what Brad just said. A lot of things were derivative of Dune. I don't see elements of Dune in Star Trek, which I think is pretty cool.
I haven't seen Dune yet to really judge.
Are you talking about like the new Dune or just Dune in general?
Dune in general. So, and just I'll touch on this, and then we can get to the other part of Drew's question. Dune, when it came out, way back when, a lot of people were really inspired by that, and they blatantly took ideas from it. George Lucas is a very big, offender of this. George Lucas took a lot of ideas from Dune, and put it into Star Wars. So he took I think it was Tatooine, right? The sand plant, the giant sand plant, like literally is what it is. The worm, the giant worm, like
space worm,
right? Yeah, the Jedi Force powers, like everything, is pretty much derivative of Dune. But I don't see none of that in Star Trek.
Well, I mean, Star Trek was being developed at the same time that Dune had come out. It had already been well into production at that point. Even though I think Trek debuted in '66, Dune came out in '65. But Gene Roddenberry was a pretty stubborn dude too, and he had his vision and he wanted things a certain way. And it doesn't surprise me that he would do things differently than a lot of other people did, for better or for worse.
I think with Dune it seems like you have a civilization that is not at truly peace with itself and is kind of like, in a sense, at the brink of war at any given moment, depending on these house factions. Whereas I feel Star Trek has more of that unification build that's around it. To your point, Drew, is that Roddenberry had this deep desire to bring that connection between people, whereas I feel like Dune is not really focused so much on that.
Yeah, I mean, Trek is about a utopia.
Most Trek is.
Most Trek is. It's about people working together for the greater good, not to be at odds with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I think is why we're probably very rarely ever going to see a lot of the stories and other science fiction crossover into Trek. I think the closest we usually get is like the mirror universe stuff.
Yeah, I would say.
Well, Drew, how about you go next with your favorite movie?
Oh man, probably Star Trek VI, Undiscovered Country.
Good choice.
Something about that film just resonated with me when I was younger. I think it was the first Star Trek film I saw in the theater. which is a shame because it was the last one with the original cast. So I was like not that deep into Star Trek at that point. Like I was knee deep in, Next Generation, but I'd only kind of dabbled in the original series. And all of a sudden, like I see all these signatures coming across the screen in the closing credits, and like I have tears in my eyes. Like, I don't know why I'm so sad. I'm 7, but
you're sad because it ended.
But man, that's just a tremendous movie. And like to this day, if I'm like channel surfing and it's on, I stop what I'm doing and I watch it. And as much as I love Star Trek 2, can't always say that about that film.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I'd be honest. Mine is probably either Undiscovered Country or First Contact.
First Contact is great.
I think it's more heavily towards Undiscovered Country only because I have a very similar memory like you, where I remember my mother took me with I think it was one or two of our family friends to this movie theater where like they served you like a meal while you watched the movie, and to me it was just like the most amazing thing. I think this is definitely the first Star Trek movie I saw in theaters, and I had such a fond memory of it. But looking at First Contact though, that is like, it's got Picard, it's got Data, Worf, it just was so, and it's got the Borg, man. Like it's got my Borg cube. That gets blown up in the beginning. But, it's besides the point. But like the First Contact was just such a fun story overall. So it's hard for me to pick. So it's like I think the nostalgia kind of goes with Undiscovered, but the funness comes from the I think First Contact for me.
I mean, First Contact is a tremendous movie, but I don't know. I think when I think of the Star Trek movies, I just tend to fall back on the original series.
I have to admit, though, the original Star Trek movies far surpass pretty much all the Next Generation movies.
We'll get there.
Okay.
We'll get there.
Maybe not. Was it 5?
What does God need with a starship?
Yeah. So, all right, that one, and then maybe Search for Spock. That was meh.
That one wasn't as bad.
But I have to admit, like, those probably are the lowest of the original ones. Like the Next Generation ones, though, some of them. I mean, the first Generations was Generations. Insurrection and Nemesis were something on its own. Am I missing one other than that?
First Contact, Insurrection, Nemesis, and Generations. They only had the 4.
Yeah, so like of those 4, I mean, First Contact was far the best, whereas I think the original series, like even the first one, I think surpassed like the 3 worst ones in Next Generation. I mean, it's a long movie,
right?
You got to make sure you take a few pee breaks, but
Fair enough.
I have a question to ask, and my question is, who is your favorite guest star character on Star Trek?
The Rock.
Did you even see that episode?
It doesn't matter if I saw the episode.
I walked right into that.
That wasn't the question. That's like asking you what your favorite ship was. We didn't specify. You didn't specify. So I'm saying The Rock was my favorite guest star.
Oh man! Wow. After you, I need you to watch that episode now and then tell me if it is afterwards.
I refuse to. You know why? Because this is what helped break him into his career as the highest paid action star in the world.
So Drew, I'll move to you for a more serious note. Who is your favorite guest star character?
That's kind of a tough one.
You could pick it by series. It doesn't have to be like all time.
Oh yeah,
it's fine.
yeah. I mean, when I think of like epic guest star appearances, it's hard not to think of Kelsey Grammer sitting on the bridge of the USS Bozeman in that pose where he's like on the chair, like, "Yeah, man, I run this place." But you know what I'm talking about, like that where like the Bozeman comes out of the vortex and he's just sitting there. He's like, "What do you mean? What year is it?"
Yeah.
The guy's got like 3 lines, and it's just, I don't know, it's awesome, and I love it. So
What about yours, Brad?
It's a tough one, isn't it?
yeah,
Not for
What's
me.
yours?
No, it wasn't tough for me.
I know. I know. For me, I have it. It's more on the lines of each series would probably have like a specific character. Like for example, Next Generation. Scotty's guest star when he guest starred in that episode where he was like trapped in the transporter buffer thing, and they bring him and I was like, that was my favorite guest starred character in that. Or in Discovery, Harry Mudd, the guy from
Rainn Wilson.
yes, Ray Wilson. Like his portrayal of Harry Mudd in that was phenomenal.
Yeah,
And you know, it's funny, like I didn't even realize he was like the character was from the original series. There's a character Mudd that's based around.
we should be running into him fairly early, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe he's in the first season.
I believe so too. Yeah.
But to that point though, it's like there's so many good actors that have like these just one-time appearances, in some cases once or twice, but it's interesting to how they help drive the story even though they're only in there for like one episode or something, you know.
Yeah. Let's see here. Okay, guys, I'm gonna start with Majeed on this one.
Hit me.
If you had a warp command, what would it be? Like a phrase, like, engage.
Wow.
What?
No, wow. That's a good one. It's wow. And I'm stuck with it,
I mean,
right? Like I'm. That's
You could just go with ow. I mean, that's
look. Look. That's like asking what your safe word is. Like that's it. Once you say it, you're stuck with it.
banana hammock.
I would probably take something from Fast and Furious, or we can just say, has Hit It already been taken?
I know Punch It has been.
It would be Hit It or Fired Up. No, I would totally do Hit It. You said Punch It's already taken. Fire It Up. I think Hit It or Fire It Up would be good go-tos. Good question.
How about you, Brad?
I have no idea.
Brad would be like, yes, take me there.
No, I was like the entire time, Majeed, you were going on. I was like, what would I pick? I have no idea. It's like
It doesn't have to-
engage is like the default.
It doesn't have to be
Right?
original. It can be engaged because it's a classic.
That's what I'm thinking, is because like that's when you said that, Drew, my head immediately goes to engage. That's just where my mind goes to, because like that's what I grew up on. So
What? I mean, wait.
You know what?
Engage or Make It So, right? Because Make It So, that's the one that I would go to. You know, if we're talking about classics.
Make It So is do the thing I just told you to do. And it could apply to any situation. It doesn't have to be to warp speed.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that in my marriage, and I'll let you know when I'm on the couch.
Best of luck, man. Engage could be used strictly, I think, for, propulsion purposes. So.
Yeah, engage. That's probably what I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to ignore a classic, so I'm gonna go with that too.
Or you can just combine it like, damn it, man, I said punch it.
The amount of time it takes you to say that versus engage is far longer.
Yeah, it's straight and to the point, Brad, if you had to dress up as a Star Trek character for cosplay or Halloween or whatever, who would you choose?
Riker. You got to do that, like, leg swirl, like, lean on stuff. It's the only way to go.
I think it would be worth it to see you try to grow the Riker beard alone. I would appreciate that.
Oh, but I could just start off in the beginning, the young Riker, and be shaved.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Season 1 Riker. I like it.
Yeah.
How about you, GD? Don't say The Rock.
Uhura.
Uhura?
Uhura?
I've been doing squats lately, and I want to be able to show that work off. No, it'll probably be it would have to be Pike.
Yeah.
I don't know if with my skin tone I can pull off such a bold yellow.
Oh, you totally could do it. Like, I feel like your hair would be perfect for that too. You could style it so well with Pike.
Pike does have great hair.
I can tell you, you have better hair than I do.
It's same. I'm bald. I don't have any hair.
Yeah. One bald, one
Yeah.
thinning. So it's, Majeed, you really would be able to rock. How about you, Drew?
Oh, man. I think you took my Riker. Because Riker is the guy that I always wanted to be.
You can be Wesley.
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Oh, man. All right. Let's play a game. We're going to call this... this is like a variation on Screw, Marry, Kill. I'm going to call it Shuttle, Transporter, Airlock. All right. And the idea here is, who do you want to be stuck on a shuttle with? Who do you want to just take the transporter with, get down to the planet, get it over with? And who do you want to shove out an airlock? And try to do this rapid fire if you can. Jeed, if these are characters you're not familiar with, just, I don't know, just pick. All right. All right. We're going to start with GD. Picard, Kirk, and Cisco.
Oh God, I'm gonna chuck Cisco out, and I'll be stuck with Picard, and I'll beam down with Kirk.
Okay, how about you, Brett?
Oh, I'll totally take the shuttle with Cisco, beam down with Picard, and do airlock Kirk.
Yeah, I got to mirror that same pattern there. Cisco could cook, so make me some gumbo, man. Let's do this.
I feel like with him you would have deep conversations.
Probably.
And like not that I'm dissing Picard, but man, like I feel like I'd be intimidated with him.
Well, he's very standoffish, so.
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah,
right.
but he can dance.
Well, so could Cisco. So could Kirk.
God, man, like, gee, I really want you to watch DS9. Like, you'll have so much better appreciation for the character.
Yeah.
If I needed a wingman, I would totally go with Kirk. I feel like Kirk would be a better wingman. If I'm going out to a club.
The date, and you would be without a date.
That's fair. That's right. That's probably correct.
Mm-hmm. All right. How about shuttle, transporter, airlock? Burnham, Pike, Lorca.
I'll go first. Pike, shuttle, transporter, Lorca, and then Burnham, airlock.
Same. Absolutely same.
Yeah.
I don't need that crying drama in my life. I can motivate myself.
At least Lorca would stab me in the back, and then I would be done with it. I wouldn't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, hang on. You don't know that Lorca's going to stab you in the back just yet. He still has his plans that he has. Right. He has plans that need to be enacted first.
He'll wait like until the very end, and then I get stabbed in the back. What about you, Drew?
Same. Absolutely identical to you guys. Data, Saru, Spock.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Right?
I'm airlocking Spock.
Is it because it rhymes?
Oh my god! But I'm not a rapper. Saru, I would definitely not want to be in a shuttle with. And
Why?
Data, listen, he weirds me out. Doug Jones in general weirds me out.
Yo, dude, that guy is freaking awesome. He's
listen,
a national treasure, man.
I will transport with him to get it over with. But man, I want to be stuck in a shuttle with Data. That guy is so cool.
I feel like you would mess with him like somebody else that we used to work with.
Exactly right, because they are essentially Data.
How about you, Brad?
Oh, I would totally do the shuttle with Saru, transport with Spock, and then Data out the airlock. That way, I know Data's fine because he'd survive.
Aw, that's so humane.
And dark. That is so dark. Like, he can't even die. He's just going to be floating in space by himself. That's cruel.
He'll be fine.
Yeah, another ship will come by in 100 years.
Saru, you would have the best conversation with. Spock, you want him by you, but you're not going to talk to him. And then Data is not going to get anything you say.
Yeah, I gotta go with Brad.
Yeah, but Data can gamble, though.
Daddy needs a new pair of shoes.
We're not going to the Ferengi home planet, man.
All right. Dr. McCoy, Dr. Crusher, Dr. Culver.
Crusher, man. I'll stick me in a shuttle with Crusher. McCoy, I'll transport down with, and I'll chuck the other guy in the airlock.
I see. I gotta go. Man, this is tough because McCoy doesn't like transporters, so he's out of that already.
Yeah, but he'll do it though.
If he's gotta, but he'll be bitching the whole way, front and back.
But it's quick though.
But the bitching isn't quick.
That's fair.
I love McCoy, but I'm throwing him out the airlock. Let's do shuttle with Crusher, Culver, and the transporter.
I'll go with Culver, shuttle, Crusher, transporter, and McCoy out the airlock.
Okay.
Crusher was Will Wheaton, right?
Well, I was referring to Dr. Crusher specifically.
That's the mom.
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
Man,
Right.
like I like Culver. Like the character has so much more depth, I think, than Crusher does. I liked her as a character, but Culver to me all the way, man.
All right, I got two more for you guys. All right. Brad, you're up. Scotty, O'Brien, LaForge.
Oh my god. O'Brien is the shuttle. LaForge is out the airlock, and Scotty is transporter. I just I like LaForge, don't get me wrong, but of those three, man, he's like my least favorite.
Yeah. Yep. How about you? Any opinion on that one, Judy?
LaForge in the airlock, Scotty on transport in a shuttle, and O'Brien in the transporter.
I gotta go O'Brien shuttle, Scotty transporter, LaForge airlock.
Oh wow, same with me.
Yeah. All right, last one for this: the Borg, the Klingons, the Romulans.
I'm going with Borg for out the airlock. Klingons transporter, and the Romulans in the shuttle.
You gotta have Klingons in the shuttle, man. They'll bring a barrel of bloodwine. Be fun.
I didn't even think about it that way. You know what? Yeah, that makes more sense. I'm reversing my answer and switching those two.
Ooh, we set those in stone. You can't reverse your answers.
It's recorded, so I guess you're right.
Yeah. Borg out the airlock, Romulans in the transporter.
Because of my obsession with the Borg Queen, I'm gonna have to stick with the Borg in the shuttle.
Oh, you are definitely getting assimilated then.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Because the Romulans killed Thor, I'm gonna put them in the airlock.
Fair enough.
Wait, what?
Chris Hemsworth.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
come on. Mr. I'm a bigger Marvel nerd than you are.
All right. Last question of the night. What would Kirk do?
Banging everybody.
Kirk would say, "We're gonna boldly go where no man has gone before."
Oh, you meant his catchphrase? I thought you meant like his mannerisms.
No.
Could go either way.
You can do either way. I mean, I just used like a freaking TNG quote for Kirk.
I mean, he says it in his.
He does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't feel so bad.
There you go. I think this is a good point to kind of wrap things up. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at the cage. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Let me pull up a quick description because I am prepared. So, The Cage is the original pilot for the original series. While investigating a distress call from Talos 4, Captain Christopher Pike of the Starship Enterprise is captured and tested by beings who can project powerfully realistic illusions. Looking forward to seeing how this has stood the test of time. Have you guys seen any of this at all, ever? Or is this your first time watching it?
Well, we saw it in Discovery.
Well, you saw like flashbacks of it.
I've actually seen parts of it, but
Yeah.
I don't remember much of it.
I've seen the whole episode a couple times, but it's been a while. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Me too. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
So, anything else you guys want to say before we wrap it up for the night?
I love you guys. Oh, that too.
Awesome. Live long and prosper it is.
All right, guys. Well, this was fun. So, thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Thanks
Bye.
for listening. Take care.
Thanks for listening to yet another Star Trek podcast. We're a part of the Retro Sessions Network. This episode was recorded on February 1st, 2022, and is hosted by Brad, Drew, and Majeed. And it was edited by me, Drew Koselik. Our music, Warp Speed, and To the Stars, was written and performed by William Grobelar Music. Be sure to check him out on SoundCloud. We'll have a link for that in the show notes. Want to chat with us on social media? We're just about everywhere at Yet Another ST Pod. Want to drop us a line? Email us at yetanotherstpod@gmail.com. Next week, we'll be watching The Cage. Watch along with us on Paramount Plus and let us know what you think of the episode. Want to support the show? The best way is to write a review and rate us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe, too. That's pretty important. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.